I believe there is a heaven and there is a hell. I was in a bad automobile accident in '84. Somebody hit us in the back, and it threw me out clear across the road.
Well, if we hadn't been almost directly in front of a hospital, he would have bled to death before we got him to one.
Had several injuries. I didn't know if I was going to live or not, or would probably never walk, but I have. And that's how come he started doing this. She kept after me. I was crying and riding around in a wheelchair trying to find something to do. And it was a sort of healing for me, you know, and it kept my mind off the pain. When I first started, I think it was doing snakes. It was after an automobile accident. I'd have nightmares, and the snakes were after me. They were like on their tails, you know, upright. And I would run, you know, try to get away. And I said, well, I'm going to do snakes. Maybe that'll, you know. And so I started doing it, and I never had the nightmares anymore. And after that, then what connected the snakes was the devil, and that's where I come in with the devil part of it. It just comes to me when I start to, you know, doing it. And some of the things are kind of hilarious, I guess. I'll sometimes laugh at my own work, but as a whole, I feel like I've got a message in most of it. It's like I have one upstairs that got a basket with people in it, you know, and that's an old saying about going to hell in a handbasket. So I wrote on the devil that you may not go to hell in a handbasket, but if you don't live for God, you may go some way. I bought me a Dremel tool, and I do my sculpting with that. I go over to the bandsaw, and I'll take my dowel rod or whatever piece of wood that I'm working on. I saw it off, and I'll get my Dremel tool out, do the eyes first, the rest of the head of it. Then I find the dowel rods that make a good size arm, whatever it should have about. So I go over to the saw, cut it off, and then I put it together with glue, you know. And when we first started, she'd done a lot of my painting. I mean, I painted some, but not, she would paint more, really more. I'd get it ready, and then she'd paint it.
Ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to paint. And I was probably about 6 years old, I had my first crayons. But I would go out in the creek and pick up little rocks. We had a creek run down by our house, and I'd go out to the creek and I'd pick up little rocks about like this. Then I'd get little pebbles and I would draw on the rocks.
From the time she was just a kid, but she didn't have much to paint with or anything. I bought her the first set of paints after we got married.
Yeah. They'll just wait until I find a piece that seems right, and then when I find it, I know exactly what I'm going to do with it. If you have a small box, well, you know, you can sit down in 3 or 4 hours, you can have pretty near finished. But if it's a larger box, you know, it's just like anything else, it just takes more time. And I want to take time for it to make it to look good.
We go to flea markets and, you know, look for most of our work. And a few yard sales, and it used to be back a few years ago, you could find a lot more things to work with than you can now. But that's where we find most of our work. We'll bring it in though, and maybe we won't work on that particular piece that we just bought for might be a month. And you walk past it and say, well, that's what I want to do. You know, you just see something you want to do.
It just takes, you know, you just have to wait until you see something in it. And then when you see something in it, you know exactly what you're going to do.
I believe there is a heaven and there is a hell. I sure wouldn't want to see anybody go to hell. And I feel like by doing the work that I do, that it might help someone else, might cause someone to see a better way to live.
I just think that I paint and maybe somebody would look at it and think about it and become, you know, a Christian.
In fact, there's a boy in our church that went to Morehead State University and got up and testified in church and said, your work has caused me to become a Christian. He said, I just thought about it, and the more I thought about it, I needed to make a change. And I think by doing devils and hell, and people see it, and they'll think about it and maybe change their way they're living. I feel like we know that our art gets into homes, people that never think about heaven or hell, and it might give them something to think about.
I just think that heaven is going to be a beautiful place, and I want to be there.